A little bit about some of the things that we're doing towards our Blue Sky objectives. And one of the things we picked out of the Ofsted framework was to generate high levels of engagement. Both Sarah and I are working together doing a coaching thing on this one. I'm working with a sort of lower middle ability year 8 group, and Sarah's working with the top set year 8 group, which has been interesting to sort of look at the same sort of techniques and how they can sort of be differentiated between classes. Really very much about investigative learning and independence and getting them sort of really into that whole can-do culture that we're trying to work on in the school.
So with that in mind, we did a little bit of research and some background reading. I have brought in some props to show you. So we looked at a couple of different, I'll start with this one, different things that have been put together. Everyone should have a copy of this. This is actually the group work booklet, but it's actually got some really, really good things in. Every department has a copy.
I think it's a department copy.
Yeah, department copy, sorry. And there's some really good ideas in here, and actually it's nice to flick through and think, oh, I could do that, I could use that one. So that's a good thing that we've used. We've also used this, but there is also one for everyone. The perfect Ofsted English lesson, and then the perfect Ofsted lesson as well. But actually it sounds a bit trite, but there's some really, really interesting techniques and strategies in there. We read the book that Ria recommended, Bounce, but actually it's quite interesting because it's not so many strategies for teaching, but it's interesting for like motivational techniques, which is what we were trying to sort of develop with this, trying to get them engaged. Oh, and also, and I think Fran, you've got this out of the library, I've got it at home but I forgot to bring it, the Teacher's Toolkit.
Oh yeah,
yes.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but Fran has it, so if anyone wants to borrow it.
Because we've only got 5 to 10 minutes and we've done lots of different things, this is very much the ultimate whistle-stop tour of stuff that we have done. So we're focusing on something that is grandly known as the Socratic Circle and less grandly known as Goldfish Bowl. I think that's our first differentiation. That for my class we do Goldfish Bowl. Sarah's top set do the Socratic Circle. So straight away, you know, you have a different sort of feeling there. And as you can see from the things coming up, Goldfish Bowl, I think, covers lots of different skills. It's all about how you learn, independence, discussion, note-taking, feedback. I mean, it really does cover all of these sorts of things.
And the thing we thought it really did as well, it's all about that independence and that interpretation. For English, you know, the top end, like level 7 and A star, is all about those interpretations, and this is something that we want to start with at the bottom end of the school and work up to, you know, the top end at GCSE. So this is something that really supports that thing. Okay, so what is it? It's quite hard to describe, actually, to be honest. You can see a picture here. What they do is they work in small groups to start off with. And for us, it's a particular text, but I mean, it could adapt to different curriculum areas. And they sit around, they discuss it. They have some sort of wide-ranging sort of questions, which they can then pick apart the text. And then we choose one person. I'm not getting into your bit, Polly, to go into the middle, and then from each group, so they might have a different text, and they discuss the text that they had, and they sort of do their interpretations. And the key thing...
Oh yes, I'll go on to that one. Actually, so one of the things there is about note-taking, so that by the time you pick who's going to be in the Goldfish Bowl, they have got a lump of information ready to share that they can then develop and works from there. You can also prompt them. I prompt mine probably a lot more than you prompt yours, for example. But the remainder of the class, as you can see, sort of sit in a horseshoe to observe the discussion, but it's so that they're just not doing nothing. They all have a little different task card, which I think is on the next slide. And so they're all doing different things. What can I add to the discussion? 3 most important points, anything else that they missed out. But you also have somebody who is observing the people in the Goldfish Bowl. So they will be told, you are going to focus on and comment on the following: their confidence, ability to start a discussion, etc. And what that allows you to do then at the end is that they can buddy up and give one-to-one feedback to the person in the Goldfish Bowl how they did. And then because of the colours of the cards, all your green ones group up, all your red people group up, etc. So that they can then share their ideas, feedback, and you've got sort of really lots more ideas generated than you might have just with the teacher standing at the front saying, look at that text, what about line 5? Oh, Yes, sorry, go on. You do your bit.
So the other important thing about this is that we want to not just think about what they're learning, but also how they're learning, and that's kind of taking it to that next level. So we talk about, how did we learn? It's important to think about what they've learned in terms of the content, but it's also about how did we learn, and at the end you need to have that sort of reflection time. How did we learn? What did they have to do? Why did they learn more, perhaps from each other? How did they move their interpretations on just from that basic sort of shallow to the wider learning that they will hopefully do in discussion.
One of the things with something like Goldfish Bowl is that it's not going to work perfectly the first time you do it. Like any of these things, practice does definitely make perfect. Even down to the sort of the moving of the tables, because unless you've got it lesson 1 or lesson 3, something like that, you're going to have some setup time. My class now, we do it every half term, and now they know exactly what it's doing. We're doing Goldfish Bowl. They anticipate that they're going to be in the Goldfish Bowl. Oh, it must be me, I've not been up yet, that kind of idea. And so it does get better. I've said here, don't use it all the time. I think if you were doing the Goldfish Bowl every lesson or every week, it would be far too much. It is all about, with any of these strategies, about ringing the changes. One of the things that Sarah and I have both gained from our coaching and observations of each other is about actually the feedback time, because really you need about an hour and 20 minutes to do this properly rather than an hour. So with the sort of the cards at the end and then regrouping, there was suddenly a bit of a, oh right, okay, there's the bell. So we've been talking about maybe putting feedback onto posters or something that you can then use to
the next lesson.
Start the next lesson.
Yeah, as a starting point really. Some other things that we've done as well, I'm conscious of the time, so I just whiz through those, you can read those. There's different things that we've done. We're just really thinking about how can we get them working in groups, how can we get them working in different ways, how can we get them to sort of work with different people and do that interpretation which we have, which is really important to us in our subject certainly, but I'm sure in other subjects as well.
Oh,
thanks very much.